I'm recording this in mid-March, so spring has just begun. And one of my science fiction fantasies that I often muse about is if humans could sleep once every year instead of once every day. The reason I like that is because I have very serious wintertime depression. This past winter, I had so many times when I would think to myself, "Oh my God, my grandpa lived to be 90 years old. I got to see another at least 50 to 60 more winters, and that's just insurmountable to think about for me." But at the height of winter, when everything's really when it's really cloudy, when especially in Seattle where it doesn't really snow, and you can't really leave the city, and just very it feels like the end of the world, especially when you think you got to deal with that 50 or 60 or 70 more times. And it just makes me wish that we could sleep once a year and I could sleep through the winter time. Um, Especially every summer when I wish I could go without sleep. When I'm traveling, or when the weather is just really nice. Even if I'm stuck here in Seattle, or when there's some event that I want to go to. And my problem is that I love to connect with other people, but I love my alone time as well. So a lot of times I don't have time for both, right? I get off work and I want to go to a party, but after the party I want to spend time alone too, especially to go to my favorite vantage point to view the night sky. During the summertime, it just doesn't seem enough hours in the day, and in the wintertime there's too many, right? So it makes me wish that we could sleep once a year. What would really be nice if we could have our days once a year. Like you sleep once a year, you eat once or twice a year. The reason I like the idea of eating once a year is that in Seattle, well, I guess maybe it's just my own point of view, but food is just really boring. It's hard for me to explain, but I especially like going to Taiwan. They have a lot of fish that I like there, and plus the food is so much cheaper. If I were eating once or twice a year, I would probably travel to a country where food is much cheaper than here in the United States, and it might even pay for that trip if I could do it that way. So, for example, I've traveled to Gdansk, Poland. They have a lot of nice fish there as well. Where else have I gone that food is a lot cheaper? Taipei, to a lesser extent, rural Japan. Not Tokyo, but if you go to Yokohama, go to some of the smaller towns in Japan. Uh, I don't know if that will be true for a long time because right now the Japanese yen is kind of undervalued. Where else have I gone? Or even if you go into small town America, like go to Missoula, Montana, or I'm trying to think where else I've traveled to before, but you get the idea. You could eat once a year when you're on your vacation instead of every day, and be stuck with wherever you are in terms of the quality of your food choices there. So that's I often muse about that, especially every winter. Or in the summer when I don't have enough hours, or I wish I could be eating something else, I'll often muse about that. But I did a little calculation. So if you eat 2,000 calories a day, in a year that would be about 700,000 calories, and that's like how many pounds of it? It's hundreds of pounds of it. You would have to gain hundreds of pounds during your meal and then lose it all during the rest of the year. It would be kind of dramatic, and certainly we don't have the technology to keep people healthy when they do that at the moment. But come to think of it, if this kind of technology existed, if people started to eat once a year or sleep once a year, I think the market would start to adjust to it, and you would lose most of the advantages, right? Because if a lot of people are flying to Poland to get their once a year feast, food in Poland is probably no longer going to be so cheap, right? Or the exchange rate for Polish currency would probably go way up, right? Which I wouldn't like, because I like to go there for other things besides food, right? If people started to sleep during the winter, the value of people during the winter would go way up, right? Your job might pay shit during the summer and pay very well during the winter to encourage people to flip it around, right? Just kind of like how today the graveyard shift might pay a little bit more, right? I think the market would adjust, but I think I would still like it because I would prefer to sleep during the winter just to avoid depression issues. I mean, it's not going to mean anything if I end up hurting myself or just not enjoying my life, right? So, what would you do if you could have your days be years instead? Leave a comment.